Are your eyebrows thinning and disappearing, and no matter what you do, you can't get them to look natural? There are so many products to choose from, so which one is best for you? Well, today we are going to explore two different eyebrow pencils from two different companies, and we're going to apply them together. One on one side, one on the other, and they have two completely different tips. We're going to take a look at how they perform, what they really look like, and which one looks the most natural, and if one of them is a good fit for you. Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly. Let's get started. Let me show you the two products that we're going to use today. One is by L'Oreal and one's by Maybelline. The L'Oreal is this one. This is the tip. It's a triangular tip, and this is what it looks like. It's got the angle to it. This one's called the Brow Stylist Shape and Fill. Now the second one we're going to use over here on my left eye is going to be by Maybelline. Now this one has the Ultra Slim Micro Tip. This one it looks like this. It has this really itty bitty tip, and be careful how far you pull this one out because it's so small that it could break, but boy does it create hair-like strokes. So this is what we're going to use on my left side. We're going to use the L'Oreal on my right side, and we're going to compare the two. So let me show you what this brunette looks like, the color. This is it. It's dark, but it's not too dark. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start at the bottom, which is how I create my template. You need to start what's comfortable for you, but to keep the eye lifted up and open, I'm going to create a line under here, and I have this tip angled where the point, it's angled down this way. All right, so this is how I'm placing it here, and I'm going to draw a line. Now you can already see it's powerful, so use a light hand. I just created the slightest of strokes. Now I'm going to take that angle and be careful and use that point, and I'm going to start here and come down very softly. So I started here, point 1, point 2, and then from here I went down to 3. So I'm essentially having 3 points to work with. And instead of going up, I'm going to start right up here at the top of my natural shape. And that's another thing. When we're working with our eyebrows, and especially if they are not symmetrical, and especially if you have very sparse hair in that area, less is more because we can always fill it in at another time. So let's start right here at the top of my natural, and I'm going to very lightly go up to my point, and I'm going to stop. Now once I stop there, I'm going to take it again right here at my top point, and I'm going to come straight down and stop. Now there we have it. We already have a little template going on. I'm going to fill it in, and this is with our angled brush. And instead of taking this and creating a line here, I'm going to leave that alone for the moment. Let's just go kind of fill a little bit in the center here with really tiny strokes and make like hairline strokes. That way it doesn't look like a solid block. That's very, very aging, I think. The harsh eyebrows, the older that we get, we need to soften it up a little bit. This brunette color is a little darker than I normally use, but it's perfect for our test today. That way we can see how it really performs. So I'm trying to keep where you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to go up to that point that I have, my point number 2, and now I'm going to take it down and fill in that center. I've barely touched anything, and we've got quite an eyebrow going here. What do you think? And this angled tip has a lot more pencil to work with, as you can see. That tip has a lot of pencil. So be mindful of when you go to slide it across your hairs, it's going to deposit a lot more color than our micro tip that we'll see in a moment. So as you can see, I'm filling in this sparse area where my hairs are very see-through and thinning. And I'm kind of just filling in that area. I'm going to go back up here to my point, my number 2, and I'm going to try to create more of a point up there to give my eye some lift in the center. And everybody's eyebrow is shaped different, so please take this into consideration. Is your natural shape. So I'm going to just, fill that in a little bit, and I'm being careful. I have so much pencil to work with. Very little. Now, this is the tricky part, is I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to lift up and create little hair-like strokes to try to connect the bottom with the top. This is difficult a lot of times because this is where we lose a lot of hair. That and the tail of our eyebrow. So I'm barely going to try to touch that. And I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to take this end off, and now we have our spoolie. It's a nice, firm, thick spoolie. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to brush up the hairs. And as you can see, in just a few minutes, the dramatic difference we have from our right eye to our left eye with nothing on it. Now we can see how important our eyebrows really are. Because if you look at the right eye compared to the left eye with nothing, look at the significant difference it makes. The eyebrows truly do frame the face because this is more lifted up on my point number 2, which is here, and I can even make it more defined actually. If you go less the first time that you make your first template, your first pattern, then you can go back and define it. So I want a little bit more of a point at the top, and so I'm going to grab up top my point number 2 and try to create a little bit more of a point right there. Not too much. But again, working on the top of your eyebrow is a little safer than working underneath, because the thicker the eyebrow is underneath, we're going to be closing in our eye. And now it's time to test eyebrow pencil number 2. And this one's by Maybelline. And as we all know, Maybelline has some of the most superior eyebrow products on the market. Now this one is their micro pencil. Now with micro pencils, they obviously have the little bitty baby tip, and you can create hair-like strokes. But there's a caveat to this, is you have to be very careful with how much pressure you apply, because this tip is so fine that I have broken quite a few because I applied too much pressure. So please be aware of that, because this is so thin. It's not like the other one at all. So you have very little pencil to work with, but you can really get in there and make your eyebrow look like you've got a lot of hair when you really don't. This color is in 259 Ash Brown. This is what this looks like as far as color swatch goes. Here is Ash Brown. All right, let's apply this one together with the little baby micro tip, and this has a wonderful thin spoolie over here. So these kind of match. Micro tip, very thin spoolie on bottom. Let's apply this over here on the left eye. I'm going to start down here. As you can see, before we get started, I want you to please make a mental note of this, that my eyebrows are not symmetrical whatsoever. These aren't even sisters. I don't even know if they're cousins anymore because they're so different. But if you look at me straight forward, you can see that this one is way over here. This, as far as where my eyebrow starts, let's do this. Here is where this eyebrow was. This one is right there. So that is something to contend with, as well as where your different eyebrows start to begin your pattern and your template. So that determines where you're going to create more hair-like strokes. So when you look at yourself, try to create that symmetry, and that's where something like this is handy, because this creates those hair-like strokes. Let's get started with it. So I'm going to start here, and there's hardly any hairs here. So I'm going to try to just match my better side that I've already created. Here's my point A, and we start underneath. I'm going to have my point A here, and I'm going to try to make that one line underneath. And I'm barely touching because this one is powerful too. It's very tiny on that tip, but it has a lot of pigment. So I'm trying to look at myself and create a matching to my other side over here where I have more hair. And I'm going to, here's my point 1, here's my point 2, and then from here, I'm going to try to go to my tail right there. And I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to look and try to match. I'm going to come up top. I look at myself and try to match across height-wise. And I'm going to come on top. There's my point 2. This was 1, 2. And then from 2, I'm coming down to 3 and creating my tail. Now this micro tip is fantastic because I don't feel like there's much room for error with this one. Because it's so tiny, you can be real strategic with your placement. So now I actually feel like when I look at this, I've got a pattern that is quite similar to my other eye. And now I'm going to fill in some of that hair that's missing. And then I'm going to go back up to that top. I'm going to go back up and go on top as opposed to the bottom, which will pull my eye down. And I'm going to try to create more of a tail. I'm going to lift up right here to my point and create that lifts my eye up. And I'm going to leave it alone. Now let's take our little baby spoolie here, and I'm going to lift up what I've created. So now we can take a look and decide, are they symmetrical or not? What do I need to improve? When I look at myself, I think that my right eye needs to come in just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go back to this pencil. I'm going to bring it in a little closer here, just a tiny bit, right there. Let me clean that up. And now let me brush the hair up. And I'm going to leave that one alone now. Now I'm going to go back to my micro pencil, and I think I need more right there, just at the corner. And let me show you something else real quick. On the micro pencil side, I check here, it's in alignment with my eye, and I check here to make sure I haven't made my tail too long. And if you make your tail too long, that's okay, because anything we do, we can clean it up. But this is a good thing to remember, is to take it and check your distance and make sure that the tail doesn't come down too long, because that will pull our eyes down. And we're trying to lift and brighten. Let's check this side. Is it okay? I think both of our eyes are all right at this point. So here are two different eye pencils. One is a micro tip, and one is this very thick angular tip. Which one do you think would work best for you? What are you most interested in? And furthermore, which eyebrow pencil is your favorite, and what do you find success with to build your eyebrows? So there we have it. We have two different looks with two different pencils, with two different tips, two different brands, but we created a little harmony on the face because now we can see With a simple application, you can determine with your lifestyle, with your activities, what you're doing, and what you need this product for. And you can use that micro tip to really fill in sparse brows and create shape that has been lost. You can take the angled one if you have more hair and you're creating shape and definition. This one is great if you have a lot of hair to work with, but you can still use the angled tip if you have sparse and thinning eyebrows. So both of these are useful tools to create eyebrows on your face that look natural. They create shape and definition and can absolutely be used to lift and brighten our eyes. Thank you so much for stopping by and visiting with me today and exploring these eyebrow pencils and how they perform for mature skin over 50 and what we can do to create eyebrows that are sparse and thinning. I can't wait to see you in the next video, and please consider subscribing to the Ageless by Kimberly community so that we can do makeup together all the time. I really appreciate your kindness and visiting with me, and let me know which one of these pencils you like the best and which one you might be fond of or think about trying. I'd love to know. Have a great rest of your day and take care.